Scratchpad has played that role for me where it has given me the opportunity to be in rooms with people that are extremely successful people, you know.
I already know Vishwajeet, but we want to know Vishwajeet a little bit more. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about the CEO of Scratchpad and also Vishwajeet here.
We are a creative growth partner that works with ambitious brands across areas like content, branding, tech, performance marketing. And we provide creative and tech solutions to them.
You have changed Scratchpad, but how has Scratchpad changed you?
Yeah, very deep.
That's what she said.
Welcome back to From Scratch. You guys must be wondering, there's something different this time around, right? I mean, for starters, you clicked on YouTube instead of Instagram. So that's changed the platform. Which brings me to my second change. Because of the platform, we now have opened up. We have a wider format and way more time, which is why this intro has gone on for so long. But because of the time, we also have a chance to get to know the guests a little bit more on a deeper level. So enough of me yapping about. Let's go meet the guest. My first question,
Right.
As you may know, I already know Vishwajeet, but we want to know Vishwajeet a little bit more. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about the CEO of Scratchpad and also Vishwajeet here inside.
About myself, where I'm 28, born, brought up here, spent a little bit of time in Bangalore before I sort of got into the whole Scratchpad setup. When I did spend a lot of time sort of understanding business kind of struck. So when I finished my college, it was supposed to be that I go abroad, do the usual sort of a course there.
Yeah.
So I'd actually registered, applied, everything was done for ESCP, which is a business school in Paris.
Okay.
So I was supposed to go, this is back in 2020.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, thankfully or whatever that was, maybe destiny, right before, I also saved some money, right before I paid my tuition fee, actually, COVID broke out, and then there was some uncertainty in terms of what's going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
That year is when, soon after COVID sort of was ending, I mean, the first wave at least, that's where I met Pranesh and Sriram, who both of them were running this back then, and that's where I kind of got into this. I started out with content, believe it or not. I started writing. I am not by any means like not even a good writer, I would say, but I have written a few pieces here and there. Initial days, everything that we used to put out, I used to kind of put my spin to it, or at least go through it.
Yeah.
I've done invoicing, I've done obviously a lot of strategy and sales. I've collected money.
A lot of different kinds of stuff.
I've done pretty much the whole thing. I'm very bad at talking about myself. So I love sports.
That we have already established.
Yeah, but there's
funny how fate works, right? Because you talked about you could have been in Paris, and if that would have happened, you wouldn't have been at Scratchpad.
I think about it sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm glad.
I mean, we could have been having this conversation over a baguette, maybe. But yeah. So my next question was going to be about, so now we know the player, now we need to know the game. Shit analogy. But anyway, tell me a little bit more about Scratchpad itself. I know about it, I work here, so I better know about it. But tell me a little bit more about Scratchpad, what we do, how it works,
Right. So, I mean, this question, to be fair, is the answer has changed quite a bit in the last 5 years or so. We were just figuring things out, 320 somethings sort of heading into the world and not wanting to go by the usual route.
Yeah.
So we started out as a content and social media sort of a company. We used to, work with a bunch of cafes and small businesses across Karnataka to kind of help them, because social was just booming. Or not just booming, but it was starting to be a place where brands or companies could establish themselves and sort of build their communities and talk about their products and so on. So that's how we kind of started. Since then we met people, businesses, or business owners basically across the years, and we sort of understood, okay, there are certain areas. So let's say maybe branding is like, a big area where because we do come from the background of design and strategy,
Right.
and then over the years we kind of built this whole setup where branding became like a big part of our setup. So since then it's kind of evolved into what it is today. So what it is today, we basically act as a creative growth partner to ambitious brands, So we are not by any means a digital marketing agency, or we are not the whole setup of agency. I mean, obviously we have picked a lot of things from that entire setup of how agencies operate, and there are some great ones that we have as our North Stars.
Yeah.
But I think today as it stands, we are a creative growth partner that works with ambitious brands across areas like content, branding, tech, performance marketing, and we provide creative and tech solutions to them.
That's amazing. Like, I mean, the word that you use specifically, creative growth partner, right? Like, that is very important because a lot of times we see like agencies as these, like, sort of vendors, that like you go to them and like, hey, I need an ad, or like, hey, I need like this design or something like that.
Right.
So to do this thing where like you're actually working with them and like understanding their, pain points and everything, and working with them for their growth is like, I think that is something that is like very different here.
For example, larger agencies obviously have like a plethora of work they've done before,
Right.
that they can always kind of, that helps them win more business basically. But when we sort of started out, I fondly remember this phase where we didn't have a lot of work that we could show, and then the whole dilemma was, it's basically like the chicken and egg story where, you pick up more work, you have to show work first. And that's where we kind of
22,
correct, So there was a phase where we did work with, at one point I think we were working with about 20 businesses or so, doing everything that they needed basically, because we wanted to build our like a body of work. Got paid peanuts basically. We were, I don't know how we were surviving honestly, but we always knew back in our minds that okay, this is the phase where we have to kind of grind it out, create some good solid work, and that's what we did. And since then, like we were just waiting. Okay, there will be a time where there will be a phase where we'll break out of this zone, and then we will be able to maybe not demand is not the right word, but we can be picky, and that's right now. If I'm sure you would be very familiar with this. Where we're extremely picky with who we work with. It could be a large brand, but if the ideologies don't match, you've been part of those pitches where. I mean, the brand is big, the paycheck is also big, but in terms of ideology and how they treatment of people, etc., is extremely.
I mean, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit.
That's
right.
True.
Yeah.
That actually, it's like a great segue for my next question. I wanted to ask about these clients that you're talking about. Like what kind of clients we had, like and like how do we work with them? So. If you could give like a little bit of an idea about that to someone who's like on the outside.
Right. We could categorize them into stages.
Right.
So how I generally work with this is whenever we do have like let's say a potential partnership or a client that we're talking to, we categorize them into like mainly five categories. So number one is brand new brands. So brand new brands are basically, let's say, it could be B2C or it could be a business-to-business company. The stage is basically that they want to set up the foundation. So that could mean that they want like a concept, right from the brand naming to strategy to visual design, identity, basically the foundation, maybe the website, things like that. So that is a category. So, this could generally mean like either a first-time founder or like someone that's, looking to raise some funds and sort of build something from scratch. That's a big fit that we do, so that is one.
Something from scratch.
That's actually how we know the whole idea behind that, not to digress, but we've been a part of so many projects from the scratch that it sort of became like a big part of how we were doing things. So anyway, so going back to So second category is like mid-scaled brands.
Right.
Now, when I say mid-scaled brands, predominantly it is B2C because the kind of requirement that they have some traction, but they require like a proper setup. They require maybe someone to strategize how they enter different markets, or basically how they put out their products into the world in a better way. How do they find or grow their customer base through social media? It could be through performance marketing. It could be through like a better, stable, high converting website, things like that. Third category, I like to call it scaled D2C. Scaled D2C is basically brands that are doing that are already at a level where they are present nationally or internationally. They have a system in place. They have an internal team. But there are areas such as brand campaigns in terms of setting differentiators for them. That's something we're doing with we're extremely with a lot of focus within the last maybe 1.5, 2 years. We're very focused on this particular cohort. We work with them in areas like let's say, like I said, refining their strategy, their performance marketing. Even though they do have a lot of sales, how do you optimize for spends, and how do you basically launch into newer categories, etc. The fourth one, which is actually the third one, but I missed it, is basically like a growth phase. Growth phase companies, basically they have got they're growing very fast, and they want to support their growth with they need a team that is very agile, that has done it before, that knows how do you conceptualize, execute, produce campaigns at in a very agile way. And basically they're looking for a confidence within teams, because trust me, like when I do talk to a lot of brands, there is a lot of poor experience because there is a lot of over promise in this whole industry. There is no limit to I wouldn't say just agencies, but like a lot of salesy people that sort of over promise, and the expectation is set in a way where like they promise you the moon and the stars. It's pretty it's impossible sometimes. And then these business owners obviously have they put a lot of faith into these partnerships and a lot of money as well with the faith. And then that goes down the drain, and then there's like a lot of loss of trust there. So that category is extremely difficult. And finally, also there is this whole setup where we work with MNCs. So these are large organizations with a lot of systems in place, but they lack that fresh sort of touch of creativity or fresh approach, because they're used to the mundane sort of
clunky structured approach.
I mean internally I can't really say bad things about them, but in terms of what they're doing digitally, or what sort of
Maybe we can keep out the names.
we could, that would be better. But so that's the setup. So 5 broad categories in terms of who we work with.
That's enough talk shop for now. Shop talk, sorry, what I was saying. That's enough shop talk for now. I want to ask something about you, okay? Sure. And Scratchpad also, because I want to know how, because you've been there from the beginning, right? Now I want to know how Scratchpad, being a part of your life, being such a huge and important part of your life for so long, how has it changed you? Because I know you have changed Scratchpad, but how has Scratchpad changed you?
Yeah, very deep.
That's what she said. That's what she said. That's what she said.
Sorry.
So how has Scratchpad changed me is the question, right? When we started out, like I said, we were 20 somethings, just entering very, very obviously you have a lot of ambition and a lot of you feel like you can do everything basically, and that's what we did. I remember when we started out, there were 3 of us. Like I said, we started out in a very small place, barely knew anything about. So I had studied marketing when I was in Bangalore. And Pranesh, I had studied design. And Shri back then used to do a little bit of sales and a little bit of. So right from learning the basics about how do you apply what you've learned in college to real world businesses, that would be willing to pay you some money to sort of because when we started out within the market that we were operating, barely anyone sort of had trust ki social media or like what is performance marketing or what is like how important is brand. It's always seen like an expense and not as an investment. I've gone through this whole phase where I had to learn a lot of things, spend a lot of time understanding things myself before I can then go on and convince actual business owners to kind of place their investment in this that will help them grow. But I think we've been very fortunate that we've had the opportunity to work with a lot of good people across the years. Me personally, because I was spending so much time on both the sides, like basically on the back end, sort of working on strategy and things, and also facing the clients, actual clients. There was a period where I was trying to catch count of how many meetings I might have done. Way over 1,000 meetings, very easily. That's a very conservative number. Over the last 5 or 6 years, when I look back, I feel the person that I started out as a very extremely, I wouldn't call cocky, but like I was over ambitious, maybe like that this we'll figure it out. And I've been humbled many times.
Haven't we all though?
I mean, obviously, you think you can take up things, and then obviously sometimes you like face adversity, and then you kind of come back and. But I think Scratchpad has played that role for me, where it has not only given me the opportunity to be in rooms with people that are extremely successful people, and I've been able to learn so many things from that. But also then to be able to work with such cool people here, I am a little bit more calmer, I think. We've spent days where we worked for 12 hours, 14 hours straight. Our lunch used to be along with like work, late nights, quite a few late nights, and like you spend so much time because you've taken up work. You have to first understand.
You have to follow through.
So that was a whole phase.
Amazing. On that really sweet note, I think we'll take a break because I think you have a meeting.
I do have a meeting.
Yes.
Oh shit, that's a lot of time that we've done. Hi guys.
Right, ready? Let's
go.
Go.